pleasant summer evening here at Mountain Gardens, about the middle of July. And at the moment we want to look at this plant right here, Lobelia Inflata. So there are a number of different lobelias, and this one has really tiny flowers. There's a couple of showy wildflowers, Lobelia cardinalis, cardinal wildflower, and Lobelia sibyllitica, great blue lobelia, which are somewhat used as substitutes, but from a medicinal point of view, this is the main lobelia that you want to look at. Lobelia inflata, and the inflata relates to these inflated seed pods right here. Those are distinctive. So this is an annual that self-sows in this garden. It's fairly common, it's all here and there. The little wavy edge on the leaf to me is a little bit distinctive when I'm looking at the little rosettes early in the spring, and then it rather quickly goes on up to flower. It's sown itself all over the garden, mostly in sort of light shade areas. One place I see this a lot, occasionally I've had occasion to have to collect a bunch of it, like for a homeopathic company that once wanted 10 pounds of it or something. The place where you find this is where a clear cut has happened on fairly rich soil like cove hardwoods. Where there's been a clear cut the following year, it will be just massive amounts of this plant, almost continuous on the ground. By the second year there's not much left, by the third year there's none. Other things come in and shade it out. So these seeds are tiny, they're not quite microscopic, but this is one of the tiniest seeds you're ever going to work with. Like the size of tobacco seeds, and yet it's been laying in that soil for, who knows, maybe 50 years since the last time that place was logged. But the minute the sun hits the soil, bingo, here is Lobelia Inflata like crazy. So this contains a compound called lobeline, which mimics the action of nicotine, and so it has been used widely in stop smoking preparations, both in this country and different parts of the world. It's called Indian tobacco, although I don't know that there's any real evidence that the Indians ever actually smoked it. You can smoke it if you want, and it'll get you every bit as mud-headed as tobacco will. I never saw a reason to do it more than once, but it stimulates respiration, and so it is used a lot by asthmatics, and it has been smoked by asthmatics to help open the lungs. So that's a use, and a fairly important use of this herb. It's also a rather strong emetic. So one of its common names is Puke Weed. And if you need to puke sometime, this will probably do the trick. Just make yourself a strong tea infusion or decoction of this and chug it down. So as Puke Weed, this has a pretty interesting history. So the first kind of real herbalist to make a success in North America around the time of the American Revolution, the first person to rebel against the medical establishment and proclaim the virtues of medicinal herbs, was a man named Samuel Thompson, and his medical system is called physiomedicalism, and it led to a whole sequence of different alternative medical practitioners and schools of thought, leading up finally to the eclectics. But the guy who started the whole ball rolling was Samuel Thompson, and it's a long and fascinating history. He started one of the original sort of franchise operations. He started the Friendly Botanical Societies. So you would pay money and get a book that gave all of his formulas, and then you would have the right to buy the herbs from him. His cure was like a 6 or 10 part sequence of herbs that you would take to kind of cleanse you. Cleansing has always been very big in American folk medicine. It probably goes back to the whole idea of sin that we have in this country and the Puritans and whatever, but we're always in need of cleansing. So his very first herb in the sequence was this one, and using the therapy of vomiting. Of course, vomiting is a legitimate therapy. It's used also in other cultures. Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine also use vomiting on occasion, but Samuel Thompson was really big into vomiting. In fact, the story of how he got started is interesting enough to take a minute to tell you. He always played it close to his chest where he learned his stuff, presumably from a village wise woman, taught him some things, and then he picked up some stuff from the American Indians. He was big into sweating, for instance, which he got clearly from the Native Americans. So he knew about this emetic effect of lobelia, and as a practical joke, he gave it, Thompson was a real fun guy, right? He gave a big dose of it to a guy who was working for him. And of course it had the reasonable result. The guy went and puked his guts out, and then he laid down for a while, and then he came back out, and he says to Thompson, "I feel better than I have in 10 years. And this big light bulb went on top of Samuel Thompson's head, and that was the beginning of his inventing and marketing this alternative herbal sequence. If you want to read more about Thompsonian medicine, there's a book called Back to Eden. I think it's been in print continuously for the past, 75 or 100 years, and it's based largely on Thompsonian medicine, and it includes about a 20-page defense of lobelia, because the medical establishment, they fought pretty rough in those days. They hauled Thompson up for murder because one of his patients died, and they said he killed him with lobelia. So the book contains a spirited defense of the fact that no one ever died from lobelia. In fact, it's enough to make you think twice about wanting to take lobelia. But that's its uses. Stimulates respiration, very useful for asthmatics, and as an emetic if you need an emetic. It's a little self-sown. I have not planted this in years. It does a very fine job of sowing itself for me. You could get some seed to get it started. The germination, if you're actually trying to grow it, seems to be a little bit problematic. But once you get it going, it'll just naturalize itself. So that's Lobelia Inflata, Indian tobacco.